some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Kara's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. Well, we've officially gotten the two youngest ferals back at school, which means that I'm still oddly terrified by the silence in my house. And by oddly terrified, I mean bordering on panic attack. Now, by the time I get over this aversion to silence because I think someone's lighting things on fire, will be when they're off for fall break, and I will have, gotten over this fear of silence, and then the house really will burn down because I'm no longer hyper anxious about it being quiet. That being said, we don't have strep starting in the house, which is also good. But the creeping crud is among us in Indiana, so back to school is on balance going as normally as always. So I hope everyone else is having their fun time, getting their back to school stuff and no strep as well. We've got a lot of stories this morning. It is a little weird to be doing this later. Same show, just a little later. And I'm like, what do I do? How do I act? Like, I don't know how to do this. But our first story is a rather sad story for those of you who might be fans of The Walking Dead. Actress Kelly Mack, aged 33, has passed on after a battle with glioma. So it is a form of cancer that affects the central nervous system, according to Cambridge online health platform. She was 33 years old. It is with indelible sadness that we are announcing the passing of our dear Kelly. Her sister, Catherine Kellenblow, said on Mac's Instagram page on Tuesday, "Such a bright, fervent light has transitioned to the beyond, where we all must eventually go." Kelly passed peacefully on Saturday evening with her loving mother, Kristen, and steadfast aunt, Karen, present. Kelly has already become and overcome so many things and become so much to her loved ones. And it seems like her family, friends, and family have a special sort of belief in the sign of butterflies coming to visit them after she's passed on, and said that they've been visited by multiple butterflies. Now, her real name was Kelly Leanne Klelbenow, and she started this journey with persistent lower back pain. Her health issues escalated the night before Thanksgiving last year when she went to the emergency room and underwent an MRI, and it revealed an abnormal mass on her spinal cord. Now, in January, she was diagnosed with diffuse midline glioma, a rare tumor that begins in the brain or on the spinal cord. Now, I didn't watch Walking Dead, so I'm not quite sure who this actress was. And, this is just another sign. Never take for granted your extra or your good health, because, there are people that would pray to be in the body that you are in. Now, Mack was public about both her recovery efforts and her illness on social media. On March 26, she documented herself relearning how to walk during her physical therapy as she walked up and down a set of stairs with support from railing. Life has its ups and downs, and lately I'm all right, she quipped. She started acting in commercials as a child, and her first film role was in The Elephant Garden, which won the Student Visionary Award at the 2008 Tribeca Film Festival. Now, the Ohio native also appeared in 5 episodes of The Walking Dead as Hilltop Colony resident Addie in season 9. So there you go. But as always, keep her family and friends in your thoughts and prayers. Just because this might have been something that didn't come as a shock doesn't mean it's any less painful. Well, I guess he's got big balls both on the interwebs and in real life, because if y'all don't remember, and we aren't really a political channel here, but there was an ex-Doge staffer named Big Balls who was left bloody after a savage DC carjacking attempt by, it's sounding like up to 10 colloquially known as youths or juveniles in DC. A 19-year-old former Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE staffer, was beaten and bloody by a mob of at least 10 minors early Sunday morning as he thwarted a carjacking attempt in the nation's capital, according to DC police. Now, Edward Corstentine, whose LinkedIn handle earned him the nickname Big Balls at Doge, was with a woman near downtown DC when he saw a group of juveniles approach their car and make a comment about taking the vehicle, according to the Metropolitan Police Department incident report. Now, at that point, for her safety, he pushed his significant other into the vehicle and turned to deal with the suspects himself. The suspects then began to assault, him because he took care of his girlfriend and wouldn't let them carjack him, as you do. Officers patrolling the 1400 block of Swan Street, a popular area for shops, bars, and restaurants about a mile north of the White House, noticed a group of approximately 10 juveniles surrounding the complainant's vehicle and assaulting this young man. Officers immediately exited their vehicle and the youths ran off. Police were able to nab only 2 of the youth suspects, who were later positively identified as, some of the youths that were in this mob of, beat down, almost car thievery. A 15-year-old male and female, both from Fayetteville, Maryland, have been arrested and been charged with unarmed carjacking. Now, Corstentine was treated at the scene by DC Fire and EMS for injuries sustained in the assault. He's at home recovering from a broken nose, concussion, and black eye, according to a source familiar with the matter. Now, the groups of teenagers shouted about taking the woman's car and then ran across the street just before they started, beating him up. He then pushed her into the We did this already. Why do we need to continue to tell the same story the same way? Now, of course, this was taken up by the president, and that's more of, y'all can go look at the president's statement if you want to look at that. That being said, this is not something we can have in our inner cities. And his mom raised a gentleman because he made sure his date was safe. I don't want to see anyone bloodied up, but this is what a real gentleman looks like. I mean, and parents, you know what? If we can start getting all of the children of these mass, incidents and get them for their children, getting into their force multipliers and getting into crime, why can't we do the same sort of parental responsibility for this kind of stuff? I mean, again, I don't want to see it, but at this point, if you aren't going to parent your children and they become, a source of unsafety for us, then you're going to need to, shoulder the responsibility of not taking your parental duties safe or seriously. Well, the suspect in a quadruple murder was found thanks to a brave 911 caller who has broken their silence after helping to catch fugitive Austin Drummond, who was accused in that quadruple murder where the baby was left on just a random front lawn. A quick thinking Tennessee house painter was just trying to do the right thing when he helped lead police to capture quadruple murder suspect Austin Drummer after he spotted the convicted felon lingering around in the woods. Now, Ricardo Contreras was painting a house with his crew in Jackson on Tuesday when he spotted an odd figure in the woods near the home, believing he had encountered an animal. However, Contreras and the workers were aware of a manhunt underway for Drummond, who was accused of murdering a family earlier this week. I knew someone was moving in the middle of the woods and he had a sweater on. And, there was something on his head, something that it was really hard to see if that person was the person that they were looking for. But who else could it be? Contreras told the outlet. Now, without missing a beat, Contreras called the police to report the man in the woods. It was amazing because when I called 911, I told her, I don't want to make a big thing of this, but I've been working hard. I know you guys have been working hard to get this guy, and I'm not sure if it's him or not, but you guys might want to take a look back here. Now, police were able to arrest Drummond about 15 minutes after Contreras tipped them off about the felon's possible location on Tuesday morning. Yeah, well, you're in a hoodie and you're running from the cops in the middle of daggone August. Surprised he didn't drop out from heat exhaustion. I was still on the phone and they got here immediately, and the helicopters and everything. They moved really quick. Now, the father of two is relieved that the accused killer is off the street for both his family and his community's sake. We can sleep, better tonight, Contreras shared. Even my kids. I have two little ones, and they the last 3 or 4 nights they've slept with us in bed because they're really scared about this. Police did offer a $37,000 reward for information leading to Drummond's arrest, which Contreras said he hadn't heard anything about, but wasn't looking for money when he was calling 911. He was just trying to do the right thing. Now, Drummond's arrest puts to end a week-long manhunt after he allegedly killed 4 victims: Matthew Wilson, 21, Adriana Williams, 20, Braden Williams, 15, and Courtney Rose, 38, about 40 miles away from where he was captured in Tiptonville on July 29th. Now, Wilson and Williams' 7-month-old daughter was discovered abandoned in a car seat in a front yard in Tigret. So that's probably the only silver lining of this horrific crime, is that this 7-month-old baby was spared. And welcome, everyone. I know I didn't do my intro saying hi. I will say that even if it's almost the same exact thing, if I'm out of when I normally do stuff, I will forget things. Now, his motives for the murders still aren't known. However, authorities believe that the killings were not random. His arrest came after he was spotted Sunday night in Jackson holding a rifle and wearing camouflage clothing with a brown backpack, appearing to try to open a door and enter a building, according to surveillance footage shared by the Jacksonville Police Department. Now, 3 suspects that were associated with Drummond, Deardra Sanders, 23, Tanika Brown, 29, and Giovante Thomas, 29, have been arrested in the recent days. And those were for accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. So these people might have been helping him, avoid and evade police. Now, Brown does face an additional charge in addition to accessory after the fact for tampering with evidence. Now, Drummond had previously been convicted for aggravated robbery, for which he was released from a 13-year prison sentence in September 2024. And this is over the advice of state prosecutors who said this man is a danger to society, to everyone. Do not give him parole. Now, at the time of the quadruple homicide, he was out on bond after being charged with his attempted murder from his stint in prison. So he had already also attempted to shank someone else while in prison. You know, call me crazy, but I thought you had to be rewarded with good behavior in order to get any time off. Maybe light shanking is good behavior in prison. I don't know. Now, the alleged mass murderer faces 10 charges, including first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and possession of a firearm as a felon. So, yeah, don't be a felonious felon and tote a firearm. That being said, all right, well, pigs don't fly, but if they have neon blue meat, also don't eat them. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you happen to hunt a pig, you know, and it has bright blue neon flesh, don't eat it. Wild pigs are turning up with neon blue flesh in California, and authorities are sounding the alarm. Dan Burton has trapped hundreds of wild pigs for clients for his wildlife control company in Salinas, but even he was startled when he cut one of them open and found blue meat inside. And I'm not talking about a little blue, said Burton, owner of Urban Trapping Wildlife Control. I'm talking neon blue, like blueberry blue. Now, Burton immediately knew what the problem was and relayed the disturbing discovery to Monterey County officials and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. The agency is now warning trappers and hunters to keep an eye out for possibly contaminated wildlife in the area and to not consume tainted meat. Well, I mean, if the meat comes out blue, unless you are Sam I Am or Will I Am, either way, I don't even think Dr. Seuss is going to approve blue meat. But, I mean, there you go. It's just wild, Burton said. Now, the startling find of wild pigs with bright blue tissue in Monterey County suggests that the animals have been exposed to anticoagulant rodenticide, diafilcone. So it's a popular poison that's used by farmers and agriculture companies to control the population of rats, mice, squirrels, and other small varmints. We call them varmints around here, but it's varmint, reducer. Hunters should be aware that the meat of the game animals such as wild pig, deer, bear, and geese might also be contaminated if that game animal has been exposed to these rodenticides as well. Now, officials are urging hunters not to consume any meat with animals with any sign of blue pigmentation, either their muscle, tissue, or fat. Predators or people who eat animals who are poisoned can suffer secondary exposure to the poison, as it can remain in the tissue and organs of a poisoned animal. Generally, more than one feeding is needed to receive a toxic dose. Don't test this. Don't be like, you know what, I'm just going to cut the blue bits off. No, just say no. Now, people and animals that, consume this, and this would be a good trick. Pigmentation. That being said, this is something to look at if you also have critters, like dogs or cats who might be outside animals. So some of the signs, if your animal might have gotten into, tainted, either a tainted animal or this is, lethargy, not acting right. So if you are near the California area and, your pig, not your pigs, if you have pigs and they are blue, don't eat them. But if, you have a four-legged pet who starts acting a little off, this might be something to keep back back of your mind. But yeah, so there you go. I don't know who needed to hear this, but don't eat blue meat should anything ever happen. Now, the bait is dyed blue, or the poison is dyed a particular shade of blue, so it can be identified as a poisonous substance. It's usually, blue also to kind of show which animals might have eaten it or not, so that you can, figure out if your animal is tainted. So again, don't eat weird colored meat. There you go. Life lessons to learn from Mo. Well, speaking of other, in the David Attenborough edition of Mo Mornings with Mo, well, it's a battlefield out there, and something is killing all the sea stars. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's not blue pigs, because otherwise I've got no links in. Scientists say they have at last solved the mystery of what has killed more than 5 billion sea stars off the Pacific coast of North America in a decades-long epidemic of sea star death. I mean, and we thought the coof was bad. Sea stars, often known as starfish, typically have 5 arms, though some species can sport up to 24 arms, and they can range, in colors from solid orange to, just fireworks of different oranges, purples, browns, and greens. But starting in 2013, a mysterious sea star wasting disease sparked a mass die-off from Mexico to Alaska. Now, the epidemic has devastated more than 20 species and still continues today. The worst hit was a species called the sunflower sea star, which lost about 90% of its population in the outbreak's first 5 years. It's really quite gruesome, said marine disease ecologist Alyssa Gehrman at the Hayaaki Institute in British Columbia, Canada, who helped pinpoint the cause. Now, healthy sea stars have puffy arms sticking straight out, she said, but the wasting disease causes them to grow lesions, and then their arms actually fall off. Ugh. Yeah, that is kind of gruesome. Oh, yeah, it is carnage. Kind of looks like something on the bottom of my son's shoes, which honestly, I don't know what that boy gets into, but that's generally what it looks like. Now, the culprit is a bacteria known to have infected shellfish, according to a published study in the Journal of Natural Ecology and Evolution. The findings solve a longstanding question about a very serious, disease that's affecting, well, a large portion of the sea stars in the ocean. It took more than a decade for researchers to identify the cause of the disease, with many false leads and twists and turns along the way. Now, early research hinted that the cause might have been a virus, but it turned out that the adenovirus that scientists had initially focused on was actually a normal resident inside healthy sea stars and not associated with the disease. Other efforts missed the real killer because researchers studied tissue samples of dead sea stars that no longer contained the bodily fluid that surrounds the organs. Well, there you go. Who knew that sea stars had organ juice? I didn't even know they had organs. But the latest study was able to get that fluid called coelemic fluid, where the bacteria was finally found. It was incredibly difficult to trace the source of so many environmental diseases, especially underwater. But he said that the detective work by all the teams involved was really smart and significant. Now that scientists know the cause, they might have a better shot at intervening to help the sea star population. Now, Prentice said that scientists could now start potentially testing which of the remaining sea stars are still healthy and consider whether to relocate them or breed them in captivity to later transplant them to areas that have lost a lot of their populations. Scientists can also test to see why some populations are look like they are starting to develop a natural immunity, and if treatments like probiotics or anything else would help to increase starfish immunity. Interesting. Also, starfish immunity. It's my Devo tribute band / Weird Al tribute band. Can you do a tribute band of a parody artist? Or would that just be Parody Squared? Oh my God, Parody Squared is the name of my Weird Al tribute band. Just thought you ought to know. In y'all, look, Jesus needs to explain to me why anyone is following Nicki Minaj. So Jesus, because I need help with this next story.
The G-Keep Grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Make it make sense, women. Make it make sense. Apparently, an influencer broke her spine just weeks after giving birth whilst attempting to do a viral Nicki Minaj stiletto challenge. Now, as I'm not anywhere near things that are viral, except for my children who apparently just want to give me every cold and virus known to man, I have no idea. I had no idea that Nicki Minaj had a viral anything going on, but apparently she does. Turns out it's really hard to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. A mom influencer has sustained an injury to her spine after attempting to take part in the viral Nicki Minaj Stilettos challenge that has taken TikTok by storm in recent weeks. Now, in an Instagram clip, influencer Mariana Valusic can be seen balancing on top of a tub of baby formula stacked on top of a saucepan while wearing a pair of high heels. Now, off to her side, someone holds her hand as she attempts to solo balance on a kitchen counter. Well, I could have told you this was going to end badly from the jump, but that's just me on solid ground without stilettos. I could tell you that me standing on top of anything stacked together is a terrible idea. Then you add stilettos to it, and that's an assault charge. Now, in the clip, she's, up there as she's trying to, yeah, on a counter. Again, why wouldn't you start it on the floor? Make this make sense. However, almost as soon as she lets go of the hand, she loses her balance, the saucepan slides out from underneath her, and she topples off the back of the counter. Now, in a since-deleted caption, the influencer shed light on the outcome of the fall, writing that she had sustained a compression flexion fracture. Irony, karma, or just life, which always tests our strength in the most unexpected moments. The influencer wrote lightheartedly in the caption. Now, the trend is inspired by a pose that Nicki Minaj does in a music video for her 2013 song High School, featuring Lil Wayne, where she balances on high heels next to the pool. Now, recently it has taken to TikTok, where people eat Tide Pods. Don't do anything that you see on TikTok. I don't know who needs to hear this story, or this gentle message, but don't do anything you see on TikTok. Now, in one viral video with over 61 million views, a nail salon worker balancing in gold stilettos on the caps of 2 bottles of nail polish and other random objects have made people think that they too can, do the balance beam. Are you kidding me? No, this is a terrible idea. Don't do this. What? Okay, I think I speak for all of humanity. Don't do anything you see on TikTok. Now, that being said, apparently, oh, I don't want to see. Oh, God, see, that's how they get you. See, they had this nice, innocent TikTok of someone stupid balancing on something in high heels, and then they try to get you with feet pics. Not today, not degeneracy, not your honor. No, no. So there you go. Don't try to balance on high heels on anything. I didn't think that this was a necessary thing to tell people not to do, but if you need to, you can take my advice, which is our family rule, our number one family rule in Mo's house. It's not be kind to each other. It's mom's not going to the ER today. So before you do anything, think, will this send me to the ER today? Has mom said that she's not in the mood today? That is our number one rule. Well, for the people that have no rules and no home training, we do have Lord Chippy, and we have 3 contestants, and today, no theme, except that they're all, well, contestants for Lord Chippy.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Well, these two, rogue ridiculousnesses, again, just the headlines and the amount of destruction one person can cause. If this doesn't lead me to Lord Chippy, I don't know. A man took the life of a girl pregnant with his child amid her cooperation with past abuse investigations. So, yes, this man was in fact, being investigated. And the 16-year-old girl that he impregnated, was working with the cops because she was 16 and he was 36. 2 men in Arizona have been arrested for for allegedly fatally shooting a pregnant 16-year-old and her unborn child who was found dead in a park last month. Jarrell Davis, 36, who authorities say was the victim, the victim's, the baby that she had. He was the father of that baby. And Jerikai James Gillette, 18, were both taken into custody last week and charged with 2 counts each of murder in the slaying of Zariah F. Dodd. Now, Davis is also facing additional counts of contact with a minor and possession of a weapon by a prohibited person. Now, according to a news release from Phoenix Police Department, just before 6 a.m. on July 5th, they responded to the area of 55th Avenue and Osborne Road regarding a report of unknown trouble. Now, upon arriving at the scene, first responders said they located an unresponsive female with an apparent gunshot wound. Now, emergency medical personnel, along with the Phoenix Fire Department, reached the area a short while later and unfortunately could do nothing to help the victim or her baby. Now, detectives with department's homicide unit then took over the investigation and were able to identify the victim as Dodd. Now, a subsequent autopsy revealed that she was 22 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. Police on Friday announced that investigators the previous day identified and arrested 2 men, both Davis and James Gillette, as suspects in Dodd's murder. Now, Davis made his first appearance in court this week, where prosecutors with the Maricopa County Prosecutor's Office provided additional details about the allegations against him and James Gillette. According to the report, authorities have evidence showing that Dodd, at or about sometime near 8 p.m. on July 4th, left her home at the Sunshine Residential Group Home in Surprise, Arizona, telling her family that she planned to meet with the father of her child. Now, evidence also indicates that Davis was the person who picked up Dodd from the residence. Deputy County Attorney Ashley Stetson told the court that prior to her death, Dodd was about to undergo a formal forensic interview with investigators who were looking into charging Davis with unlawful sexual conduct for impregnating Dodd. So she was basically, going to go in, and by statute, he was way too old to be messing with a girl her age and was going to, be getting charges for that because they could prove it since she was pregnant with his child. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes. Now, the prosecutor reportedly emphasized that Davis and Dodd were known to be dating, and DNA performed on Dodd's unborn child had confirmed that Davis was in fact the father. When asked about his reaction to the arrest and the allegation that Davis was the father of Dodd's unborn child, the victim's father told local Fox affiliate KSAZ that his reaction was disgust. I mean, he's 36, 30 whatever. It's traumatizing, he told the station, but I'm happy they did find the people who did this. That was my main objective here, as far as the investigation, how it was put out there. A lot of mixed emotion. I do want to follow this. I want to stay on top of it to continue to get more justice for both my daughter and granddaughter. Now, Davis is currently being held in the Maricopa County Jail on a bond of $1 million. Well, basically $1.25 million. Now, he is scheduled to appear in court again on September the 11th. Now, James Gillette is being held for a $1 million bond and will appear in court on Thursday. But these two, don't do this. And just a terrible loss for the family. Again, the father of the victim is not only having to grieve his daughter, but also the loss of his granddaughter. So I can't imagine that kind of pain to have to walk through, to have, 2 generations of your family wiped out in one crime. So again, these two, Gen Pop Justice, Bon Voyage. I don't want to see you anymore. In true proof that demons walk among us, and they're not the smart demons, but this idiot demon over here. Why you always crying, bro? A dad takes the life of a fussy infant with aggressive patting and jerking him around in an orchestra conductor motion. What? So like he was doing this with... What is wrong with people? What in the hell is wrong with people? A Missouri man is facing charges in connection with the violent, and this is in quotes, so this is probably taken out of actual court documents, death of his infant son, who he allegedly took the life of during a fussy crying spat. Adrian Horton, 21 of Parkville, was charged with first-degree endangering the welfare of a child with the death of a child after investigators with the Kansas City Police Department in Missouri determined that his son, Mateo Rideout, suffered fatal injuries in October 2024, caused by violent trauma to the head, including both acceleration and deceleration forces. So basically shaking. So when they say conductor, they mean up and down, back and forth shaking. Or at least or emotion like that. But that's not all, because apparently, just in adding that, not only on his, crime resume of possibly the death of his son, but he also SA'd an ex-lover outside of the mall, a year before he's caught this charge for his son's death. Now, he was taken into custody Monday, roughly 8 months after his arrest for the alleged SA, following numerous attempts and police interviews to explain what happened to Mateo. Over the course of several hours, Adrian's account of what occurred with the child changed multiple times. Police allege, noting how Horton initially claimed that he was patting Mateo in a pretty aggressive manner to get him to stop crying. Yeah, genius, because, hurting a child's going to make them stop crying. Or you're a moron who shouldn't have been given the chance to breed. Now, at one point, Adrian advised that he, changed his son's diaper and then he started to choke. He then alleged that, the injuries happened because he was trying to do CPR on, the adult way on a child before he called Mateo's mother into the room for help. And he allegedly, quote, said, "I may have used a little more force than I should have." Or you're just a gross, disgusting human being. Now, the mother, for her part, testified that Horton was always frustrated or annoyed whenever asked to do anything for their son, and that she asked him to change the boy's diaper on the night of his death after he started crying. As Adrian got up, she heard him say in a frustrated tone, "Why you always crying, bro?" when talking about Mateo. The probable cause statement says that alleging that Mateo's mother heard loud patting coming from the child's room later. Now, when the patting noise stopped, she heard Adrian yell her name and had her come into Mateo's room. So again, this is very different story. Now then, Horton again changed his story yet again and claimed that he and the child's mother were, doing the married time activity, and the infant was in his bassinet, not there, and it must have been his onesie that attacked him. Now, obviously, the police didn't believe the killer onesie, the adult CPR, or the aggressive patting but unintentional, hurting pats. So, again, this is all going to be coming through. Now, as far as we know, for the assault case, authorities say that Horton is accused of essaying an ex-partner in December 2023 at the Zona Rosa shopping mall in Kansas City. He's accused of choking and attacking the victim while they were parked in a car after she told him multiple times to stop. Now, he was allegedly tied to the assault through a DNA testing kit performed on the victim. Now, he is behind the bars as of Tuesday on a $150,000 bond for the SA charge, and there's no bond and there's no bonding out as far as the attempted murder case, though. So even if he were to be given a lower bond on, the SA, then it's still going to be he is in there for the attempt or the alleged murder of his son, which, sir, stay right where you are. Gen Pop Justice is here for you. You don't want to go back outside because no one likes gross people who can't take care of babies or children. I got no words for this last one. Look, this last one is just crazy, y'all. Placed his body in a crawl space. A woman admitted to decapitating a man whose head was found, or whose head has never been found, and hiding another victim in his home. I mean, she does look like one that you'd keep a swivel on if you were next to her. I mean, she kind of looks like if Sarah Boone and Shanda Vander Ark had a baby, which is deeply unsettling. A Kentucky woman will spend the next 2 decades behind bar for taking the lives of 2 men, one of whom was decapitated, having his head has never been found. Late last week, Sarah McQuilling, 44, pled guilty to 1 count each of complicity to murder and complicity to manslaughter in the 2nd degree, as well as theft, and 2 counts each of abuse of a corpse and tampering with physical evidence. Now, the plea was considering the September 21 deaths of Douglas Brooks, 39, and Jerry Carlin, 64. Now, both victims were discovered under the same mysterious set of circumstances, with one major distinction. Both men were found deceased in the crawl spaces of their own home. But Brooks was decapitated and his head has never been found. Now, on Friday, Sarah pled guilty under an Alford standard, according to a courtroom report by Louisville-based Fox affiliate WDRB. Now, an Alford plea allows criminal defendants to maintain their innocence on the facts of the allegation while simultaneously accepting that the state's evidence would likely convince a judge or a jury of their guilt and beyond reasonable doubt. Now, this since condemned woman's defense attorney maintained her client's innocence during the plea and sentencing hearing. Additional details of the crime, as alleged by the state, were revealed in court documents. Now, the bodies were both found during the same week. On September 23, 2021, in response to a requested welfare check, Louisville Police Department found Cardin shot to death and hidden in the crawl space of his home on Roosevelt Avenue in West Buchel neighborhood. And then 4 days later, 2 more discoveries were made. On September 27th, 2021, Sarah was found driving around in, Cardin's truck. In the bed of the truck, police found a plethora of evidence used to put the woman behind bars. Now, the evidence included surveillance footage allegedly showing Sarah taking objects from his home and placing them in the soon-to-be stolen vehicle. During her initial arrest, Sarah also allegedly admitted to shooting the older victim, stuffing him in the crawl space. The arrest citation also claims the defendant told officers she used a revolver in the crime. And the gun was found in a black purse along with her medical ID cards. Now, on September 27th, 2021, police then found Brooks' remains in his home on Woodburn Avenue in the Highlands Douglas neighborhood. Now, the younger victim had been stabbed to death and his head was missing. Now, Sarah claimed that she stabbed Brooks, acting alone or in complicity with some other person, between September 17th and 24th of that year, according to the plea agreement. Now, the document goes on to state that Sarah, either alone or with the help of another person, then basically decapitated Mr. Brooks and placed his body into the crawl space. Now, as of right now and what we see, no other defendant or other person has either been, taken to a grand jury or charged with any crimes in other than Sarah. So Sarah could have been working alone or with her imaginary friends. Now, Sarah is a married mother of 6. I don't accept the resemblance. In the aftermath of her arrest, her husband said little except that he stood by her. Now, the defendant's longtime landlord, however, spoke up to express both shock and dismay at the sad and violent turn of events. It shows you never truly know about an individual, no matter how much you like them, no matter what they seem like, the landlord told the television station. You've got to be careful anymore, man. Now, the convicted woman will be eligible for parole after serving 85% of her sentence. The case was mediated. Jefferson County Court Administrator McKay Chauvin told Louisville-based NBC affiliate WAVE. She pled guilty in exchange for a sentence of 20 years. She waived a separate hearing and should be on her way to the penitentiary to begin serving that sentence. So there you go. Did they check the Samsonite? Sharshanda. Oh my, ew, ooh. At this point, I mean, what are you gonna do? Look, y'all, this is why we need to stop with this whole, safety warnings on packaging labels. I'm just saying we need to stop. The population's getting dumber. In a story that can only make you giggle, a naked man was, caught wearing a balaclava and plastic clogs only, carrying a sex toy on a stick, and he's terrifying European, tourists. I mean, as you do. We'd like to do Antifa nudist walks in the park. A naked man wearing nothing but a, well, ski mask and well, Crocs. I love that he's wearing Crocs. Not even Crocs, but like the Walgreens Crocs. Whilst carrying a sex toy on a stick, has been startling tourists while wandering around a historic castle in Slovakia. Now, the unidentified intruder posed for a picture whilst carrying his, bizarre outfit slash prop. Monday, near Guillaume's Castle, a popular hiking destination in the country, said Slovak outlet TVJOJ. He reportedly apologized to two female hikers who spotted him, claiming he thought that no visitors would be allowed during the Monday, and he let them take his photograph. He had a balaclava, a stick, and a dildo stuck to the stick, as you were. We were scared of him, but he told us that he was sorry and he didn't mean to scare us. He also asked for directions because he thought that since it was Monday, he wouldn't meet anyone. Excuse me, I'm a little lost. I didn't know it was a Naked Monday. The male exhibitionist turned and seemed to be leaving before he suddenly began following the women. When I turned around, he had returned and started following us, and I was terribly scared inside, said one of the tourists. I guess no one would have believed that we could meet someone like this in the forest, but he allowed us to take his picture without any problems. It was lucky that there were two of us. I couldn't imagine what I would have done if I'd been alone. He said that this is relaxing for him and that he often walks naked around the woods like this. Now, the incident is being investigated by police in the nearby city of Nitria, as well as potential public order offenses. Now, the incident was reportedly the third encounter that visitors have had with with naked Gandalf. It's the Lord of the Sea Rings. Amazon, I will film this, but I can't be in trouble with anyone from Ofcom. I'm just saying. Now, it's not known if the same individual is, is basically the naked nudist hiker from each separate incident. Although his behavior has left visitors disturbed, he hasn't been seen in engaging in any sort of, assaultive behavior other than the eyeballs. So he hasn't laid hands or touched anyone. He's just walking nude with a dildo walking stick, as you do. Gandalf the Fleshlight. What? Good Lord. The situation comes as police in the United Kingdom are also investigating a separate incident involving a naked and masked man. Now, police in Lytham, located northwest of or in the northwest of England, are investigating after security footage showed a man wearing nothing but a black gimp mask and sneakers recently wandering the streets at night. So there you go. If you were the gentleman in the gimp mask and the sneakers, northwest of England, the lone dangler. Oh, well, sometimes it's good to have a talent, I guess. Well, I mean, I never have done a cartwheel, but that's how you can tell I've never actually done a cartwheel. I still have my sight. I went blind after doing cartwheels, and here's what I learned after losing my vision. That roundhouses are much more safe. Only do backflips. A woman who lost her ability to see after a joyful romp on the beach is opening up about the frightening ordeal. Now, Deborah Cobb was 19 years old when she broke out in a series of cartwheels, only to come up without her vision. Now, at 42, Cobb said that she has the ocular health of about an 80-year-old, and anticipates that she will soon return to blindness due to early onset macular degeneration. Now, in a new interview with Newsweek, Cobb said that she and her friends were, just deciding to challenge each other to do as many cartwheels in a row as they could just for fun. I started doing them and I got to about 13, fell over, and got super dizzy. My eyes were sort of spinning, so it took a moment to realize that they weren't focusing. I was looking at her face, my friend's face at the end of this, and it was simply a, giant orange blur, Cobb continued, referring to a friend who had witnessed the shocking moment. My eyes wouldn't fully focus, there was no pain, and my peripheral vision was just fine, but everything I would look directly at was blocked by an orange blur. Now, her harrowing story went viral in a recent post on Instagram, where she detailed the mysterious medical phenomenon that doctors first thought was a sign of either leukemia or AIDS. Now, I didn't have either, just weak blood vessels in my eyes that apparently is a genetic trait that I inherited, as I later learned. Her condition is called macular degeneration. Now, Cobb explained in the viral post that her gymnastic stunts had caused internal hemorrhages in a part of her eye called the macula, the area at the center of the retina responsible for sharp and focused vision. Now, this degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss, affecting more than 200,000 Americans every year, generally brought on by old age or other factors, including both genetics and cardiovascular disease. Now, this condition can cause blurred or distorted vision as well as dark spot changes in color perception. Now, she was deemed legally blind for 3 months after the initial incident and did not regain full vision for another 3 months after. Cobb's life came to a halt during that time. As a result of the injury, she was forced to quit massage school. She couldn't drive, watch TV, or even look in the mirror at herself. Though she was eventually able to return to school and later earned her license in massage therapy, she still lives in fear of losing her vision again. I can't do anything upside down or anything that causes too much blood to rush to my head. It happened once from doing push-ups, so I have to limit myself physically. The experience inspired Cobbs to dedicating her career to integrative medicine, and she now works with clients who suffer from anxiety or nervous system deregulation. So, play it forward, pay it forward, and teach people that just because you have to adapt your life doesn't mean you have to give up who you are. And to be fair, predisposition, not disposition, I'm never going to be doing a cartwheel either any two ways. So I think I'm marked safe. Now, from going upstairs, those rat bastards, I'm never safe going upstairs. And why is the internet bitching about this section of or story today? Why the internet is bitching about this, I do not know, nor do I really care, but it seems that a lot of people did. A TV meteorologist paused a severe weather forecast to text his family in a viral video, and some people are calling him unprofessional. Well, I don't care. I mean, again, I would probably do the same thing. It's not anything different than any other person is doing once he gives it out, and it looks pretty red. That being said, if he was able to wait for a commercial break, I could understand but if it's up to the TV station to yell at him, not biddies on the internet who have nothing better to do than to bitch about a meteorologist. I mean, meteorologists are rarely right to begin with, so honest to goodness, he's trying to take care of his family. I don't care. But a Minnesota meteorologist is making no apologies for the fact that he texted his wife to ensure that his family was okay while he was live on the air during severe weather. In a video posted to Facebook with more than 8 million views, Nick Jensen, Rochester news station KTTC's chief meteorologist, texted while standing in front of a map graphic during a live broadcast. Then he briefly apologized. He was covering storms in southeastern Minnesota and northern Iowa overnight Monday, July 28th. Sorry, just had to text my wife. The baby was sleeping the whole night, so that's going to be over with at that point in time. Now, he then proceeded to discuss high winds of over 40 to 70 miles per hour that were forecasted in the Rochester area going into Tuesday. And while the forecast continued with no further interruptions, Jansen revealed in Wednesday, July 30th Facebook post that he had received a critical email from a viewer who was bothered by the moment and questioned his professionalism. Now, Jensen addressed the email by saying he takes both his job and the safety of his viewers very seriously, but also he is a husband and father. In the middle of severe weather, I decided to take a brief moment to make sure my wife and child were safely in the basement. That's not being unprofessional, that's me being a human being. I'm a father and husband first, he wrote. Let's all try to show each other a little more understanding and respect in real life. To be fair, same. And in our final story, but an update to he crossed state lines, a multi-day fugitive escape. The water monitor lizard that has been terrorizing both Connecticut and Maryland has been found. The 5-foot-long water monitor lizard named Goose has been captured in Massachusetts. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Massachusetts, not Maryland. After leading authorities on a 2-week chase through two different states. Now, Goose, who escaped from a Webster home through a second-story window July 18th, was captured Saturday and turned over to the custody of Rainforest Reptile Show's Oasis Foundation, a nonprofit that is specialized in the assistance of reptiles and kind of rehabilitation of those animals, since not everyone is trained to deal with the special needs reptiles have. Now, the lizard had been spotted in the Little Pond area of Thompson, Connecticut, about 5 miles from Webster on July 25th. Massachusetts Environmental Police later confirmed that he was already seen back across the state border in Douglas. Now, water monitor lizards are not legal to be kept as pets in Massachusetts without special permits, and authorities said his previous owner did not have the required paperwork. Now, details of Goose's capture were not made fully public, but Rainforest Reptile Shows said he was taken into custody safely and will receive expert care and a specially designed permanent habitat. So there you go. Goose, the monitor lizard, is, safe, and now he's going to have his own specialized enclosure. And speaking of those, if you would like your own specialized enclosure, well, then don't try a tiny home. I don't get the point. Also, is it some kind of law that if you are a dental and doctor's office, you are obligated to have on the home network? Because I swear HGTV must be keeping doctors and dentist office in cable subscriptions. I don't know why that bothers me, but if I see or hear shiplap one more time, things are going to go downhill. But some things that are not going to go downhill. Shizzy and I will be on my channel tonight at 6, Mo After Dark. And we will be going over more of the Koberger documents. I do have the newly released documents that came from a separate police department, and also a 3D mock-up that has been put up of the house that the kids were in, so that we can kind of get a better idea of what the house, on King Drive actually looked like. Because for me, it's kind of hard to picture this. So they do have a really nice detailed 3D mock-up that we'll be looking at. So if you would like to hang out with me tonight, me and Shizzy will be going through the documents. We won't be making, a sensational sort of spectacle about it, but definitely giving you the information, how the police started looking at Brian, that kind of thing. And then we will say goodbye to Brian, to basic Brian, and, never pay attention to him again. So that being said, I will see you guys in a little bit this evening. I am going to go make sure that we are all set up for the official first day of school tomorrow for every other kid and everything else. So thank you for hanging out with me. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness doesn't equal doormat. And I mean, if the goose is on the loose and it's a water monitor, you're going to need a sassy mouth, because I don't think they take well to, anything other than sassy sarcasm. Bye, you guys.